Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back to the Humble Servant Homestead. Today, guys, we are out here in the garden. This area here is the middle garden. For those that have been following us for quite a while, you may know where I am standing. This is the middle garden that was started this year, guys. And I am just out here today want to bring forth something to you guys. Now, this here is a garden that was started this year, like I said, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of pick and taste test and talk a little bit about these tomato plants here. Now, if you remember the tomatoes here, I was calling them Paul Robinson, but the correct name, guys, is Paul Robinson tomato. Now, this Robinson. Robertson, Paul Robertson tomatoes that we have planted here in the middle garden. And I just want to come on in real quick and show you all the production from these tomato plants right here. Now, this particular tomato plant, as y'all can see from the growth and everything else like that, that lets you know that this right here is a indeterminate tomato plants, guys. It is just running. Now, I'm going to tell you, I was supposed to came on in quite a while and did this to these tomato plant right here, but I'm going to talk a little bit about how I went about planting the tomatoes and also what I will be possibly be doing for these tomatoes to keep on producing for us. Okay. So in the beginning, when I came on in and I planted these tomatoes right here, I dig the hole right at probably about, I say maybe about 7 inches or so. Could be a little bit deeper. I came on in with my post hole digger, dug those holes, came on in with some broken down or compost chicken manure that we have here on the homestead. And guys, we put that inside of the holes. Also put in some oyster shells. Now, you may be wondering, oyster shells, what is that for? We put oyster shells inside of these holes right here, guys, to keep from having bottom end rots or blossom end rots. So we put those shells in the hole to prevent that. Now, from what we are seeing here, these tomato plants, they have showed up and showed out. And we're going to come on and we even talk a little bit more about these tomatoes. So because these tomato plants right here, guys, is indeterminate, and oftentimes what I will see, you know, other people may do. Now, we're not here to talk about other people or bash. That's not what I'm here for. Absolutely not. One thing, like I always tell you, that what you do in the garden is what you do in the garden. If it works for you, keep on doing it. I'm simply just here to let you all know what works for me here on the homestead so I can get a better yield out of these tomato plants. Because trust me, if I'm going to put the work in to plant these plants here, I want the full production from them, guys. Okay, now I'm going to tell you all what I do with these indeterminate tomatoes and what I will be doing going in the future, well, or even before the season is out. All right, so in the process while these tomato plants was growing, of course, we know tomatoes like to send off shoots and all that little suckers. That's what they're called, suckers. We know they like to send suckers off. So what I did with these tomato plants here, guys, instead of just keeping one main climber or one main stem of this plant, what I went ahead and did, you could come on down close, camera lady. So if you all can see right in here, these are where suckers came out of, right? So what I went ahead and did with these tomato plants right here, I came on in, cut those suckers. And what I end up doing, what I would do with determinate tomatoes, I will let them go ahead and and I would pick the strongest plant from that determinate tomato. But what I did here with these indeterminate tomatoes, so I can get a better yield out of them, I went ahead and I kept two stems. Okay, so 1, 2. Now what I want to go ahead and show you all, if you notice right here on stem number one right here. Look at the production from just this stem right here, guys. And even as you go on up, we're going to talk about just stem number one, because I want to show you all the yield that I can get out of indeterminate tomato plants. So what I went ahead and did, I let this one go ahead and keep on running and of course producing and even going on up, right? So right over here, we even have more blossom that put on, but I don't think that these blossom is going to take. So of course, that is a cluster that we lost. But if you notice, still having blossom clusters going on up. Now, what I did here with these, with the second shoot, I went ahead and I left it, okay? And I will go ahead, pull away some of this here, and I leave it to let it go ahead and keep on running. So if you notice, I do have more clusters coming from off the second shoot, and also this would have been a cluster, but maybe some issue with pollination they did not take. But further on up, if you notice, it is still producing. Okay, now what I'm going to do, one of these stem, I'm going to choose one of them. Now, the one that is showing more productivity and that is giving me more fruit, that may be the one that I will keep. And simply what I'm going to come on in and do with the other one, I may come on in and top it off right here. Okay, so this second stem right here is just so I can get a second, or get a good yield out of them. But one of the things that I want to show you is what I've done as far as explaining that. I do have a couple in here that I did come on in and top it off, okay? But what I'm going to do now is come back on in with a long bamboo stake to go ahead so I can tie this on so it can keep on going a little bit higher so I can get a little bit of yield until I'm tired of tying it off, guys, okay? But so far, what I want to go ahead and do is kind of show you all the production on these tomato plant right here, guys. Okay, very productive. We're getting real nice big tomatoes from these plants right here. Okay, and all of them, I treat them all the same way. I came on in and took the suckers on out, so that way a lot of the energy can go ahead and go into these stem right here, guys. Okay, so real quick, and well, one of the issue that we're having right now is these tomatoes are starting to ripe, and look at that, the bird came on in and taste one. Okay, but that's all right for now. If they come in and start eating everything, then that's a problem. But we'll go ahead, cut this, take it inside the kitchen, and that would be for supper tonight. Okay, so you could come on down here, guys. As far as with pruning, now one of the things that I want you all to note about these tomato plants here, when it comes to pruning your tomato plant, a lot of the suckers and stuff like that that I don't want on these plants, I will prune them off. But when it comes to your leaves on this tomato plant, guys, especially outside, growing outside, I don't want you all to prune your tomato leaves too heavy. Simple reason why, you got to understand, we are here in grow zone 8. Hey, it do get hot. If you notice right now, I am sweating, and we don't want to prune it too heavy and take out a lot of these leaves that are up top. Simple reason why, these leaves are shades for these tomatoes right here, keeping them from getting sunburned and getting blistered from the sun. Okay, so what I did, I only came on in and took out all the bottom leaves down here at the bottom, keeping the dirt from splashing up on the leaves, causing this tomato plant to catch a disease, blight, or something of that nature. So that is why we took out all the bottom leaves of these tomato plants. But on up to the canopy, we leave them for shade purposes, guys. Okay, so with this tomato plant right here also, as far as disease issue, we have not experienced much of that here. If you notice, all the tomatoes that I planted in this area is still standing, guys, because what will happen if I notice that a tomato plant is catching blight or catching a disease or something like that, it is important for you guys to go ahead and rip that tomato plant out of the ground, okay, and and take it as far away from the rest of tomato as possible, especially when it comes to blight and stuff like that, because that can spread throughout the rest of your tomato plant. Okay, so keep that in mind. So disease pressure with these tomato, it's, to me, I haven't seen any disease here on these tomato plants. But what I do see is lots of beautiful fruits on these plants right here, guys. This is another one right here. If you notice, it is loaded as well with tomato. Okay, and like I said, I treat them all the same. All those suckers that came out on these plants, I went ahead and took them off and leave a few. If you notice, I have one, two, right at about three suckers coming from off of this one. And look at the production. Now, all I use is a regular steak. Like I said, a regular steak. Even sometime I have to come on in like these one right here and kind of tie them back on to the tomato cage so they can grow upright. Now, I am going to have to find some time, guys, to come on in with some steaks to stake them up so we can get a little bit more yield out of them, okay? If you notice here now, what we're going to do with these tomato plants, we have quite a bit of big tomatoes here, but I believe this is the biggest one that is on this plant right here. And in a moment, we will also take you all over to the neighboring spot where we have some more tomato. Now, the same variety, because I don't want these tomatoes to cross-pollinate. So I plant the same variety in the same area because, yes, your tomatoes can cross-pollinate. Now, with all that rain that we had the other day, what tends to happen when you have a lot of rain and you have tomatoes planted, and this happens with certain fruits, guys. You may have tomatoes, other fruits it can happen to is even say if you have cabbages or anything like that. Of course, that's not a fruit, that is a vegetable. But with too much rain and it's in the ground, what happened? These roots, they tend to absorb too much water. And then what happens? This water got to go somewhere and it goes into the fruits and it will cause these fruit to split. Okay, but we're going to harvest this tomato here. Beautiful, beautiful Paul Robinson tomato. Okay, ooh, and it is ripe and ready. But look at that tomato right there, guys.
Wow.
Beautiful tomato. From what I'm feeling, feel like it could be right at about a pound, could be a little bit over. Okay, and so feel like a pound, could be a little bit over. Okay, hey, we won't know until I put that on my wife's kitchen scale. All right, so guys, what we're going to do now, and that's another beauty right there. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to head on over to the neighboring side of this garden here just to kind of show you all the production. Now remember, this is a fresh garden bed I started this year. I came on in, like I said, listen, you will not go wrong if you amend your beds properly. You amend those soil, you can't go wrong. But what I will do as fall comes in, I will take you all on how to even go about putting your bed to rest for over the winter time. Okay, so that way once spring comes around, that bed is ready to go. Okay, now what I did came on in and dashed just a little bit more fertilizer, more so chicken manure, around the root of these tomato plants here, guys. That's what you're looking at right here, just a little bit of chicken manure to keep it, keep it boosting, keep it going. Okay, so you could come on over here. I think over on this side will be better for you, baby. So here we are. on the other side where we have more tomatoes. Now, this little cluster here got so heavy, I don't want to move it too much to where that it is splitting. If you notice, split the vine for this tomato right here. This cluster is splitting, guys, but hey, they're starting to ripe. Right over here, we have another beautiful cluster. Now, this is what I was telling you all about as far as me coming on in. Now, this one right here is 3 stems, okay? If you notice this third stem right here, I went ahead and cut it. Now, the reason why I cut this third stem, guys, like I said, this plant will get so tall and bushy and stuff if you don't come in and prune them. But that's what I went ahead and did. I went ahead, prune it, and I kept a few clusters. Now it's like 2 clusters off this one stem right here. And we have the second cluster going, and then the third one putting out tomatoes over here. All right. So as you all can see, a very, very productive tomato plant. And also another thing that I want to share with you all real quick. Then we're going to go ahead and weigh this beauty up right here. Nice tomato. Okay. So one of the things that we also did, and as I'm looking here, you can see where I came on in and I cut that. Okay. Because I didn't want this plant to grow any further. All right. But also what I went ahead and did with these tomato plants right here, guys, when I did come on in and prune a lot of these tomato plants, what I would do, if I come on in and I find suckers just like this one right here, if it will ever come off, what I will do with this sucker right here, I will break it off. Instead of throwing them all away and throwing them to waste, I will go ahead and stick this tomato right here, or this sucker right here, in a jar of water. And I would sometime come on in and sit at the jar right here. Just make sure that water is in it. Make sure you change your water on a regular so it don't go sour. And come on over here. I'll show you all what I did with these suckers here, guys. Come on. Okay, and so remember the sucker that we just pulled, right? I will go ahead and let this sucker right here go ahead, guys, and sprout roots. Now, if you remember those ear that is on the tomato plant, don't know if y'all can see the ear on the tomato plant. You can't see it. Okay, well, kind of, sort of, yeah. So what this will do, those ear on these tomato plant will go ahead and put root out. Okay, and then once it get rooted, you want to come on in with a nice mixture of soil and go ahead and amend your hole with the soil. Put a little bit of fertilizer, granulated organic chicken fertilizer if you have it. Put it inside of the hole and plant these suckers, and that is what these right here is, guys. So instead of me going ahead and starting this tomato right here from seed all over, just pull a sucker and get it rooted and plant it in the ground. So no further ado, I know y'all been waiting on this moment. Let's go ahead and see what this tomato here is weighing in at. All right, so come on in, baby. Hope this is level enough for us. Okay. That's not level. There we go. Okay, I'll go ahead and hit that. All right, are y'all ready? We're ready. Okay, I think it's a pound, little over a pound. Okay, 1 pound, 4 ounces. Wow, now that right there is a good sized tomato. Can't beat that. But we're not done. Let me go ahead and grab my knife, and we're going to taste this tomato right here together. Okay, and this is the moment that we have been waiting on, right? So let's go ahead and cut into it. See what this tomato here is all about. Want to try a piece, baby? Sure. All right. Go ahead. There you go. Wow, look at that, guys. Beautiful, beautiful. The color is definitely different. Now look at that. I want to show you all that juice. Look at all that juice. Wow. All right, here you go. Try your piece and give us your opinion of what you think about this tomato here. Okay. Wow.
Mm.
It's definitely juicy.
It's juicy.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually like a sweetness when you first bite.
Mm-hmm.
It's not acidic at all.
Mm-hmm.
Very flavorful, but not acidic. Hmm.
Now that's a nice tomato.
I sent some homemade mayo tonight.
And so what I well hey, and hey, yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. And what I like to do with these tomatoes when I come out, I like to pick a few and eat with my dinner, just on the side, just like this, guys.
Hmm.
Okay, it's very juicy. It's tasty.
Hmm.
You
It's
know,
very tasty
it's a
too.
mild taste, just like you said. It's not acidic because I've grown some tomatoes here where that it almost as if it put blister on your mouth.
Hmm.
It's so acidic. But this right here is good. Look at that juice dripping. But guys, that is it right there. I just wanted to come on in and just bring a little bit of a little bit of tip growing these tomatoes here. Okay, now this is things that you can also go ahead and apply in your garden. Okay,
Hmm.
so you can, hey, get that garden pumping to go ahead and produce food for you.
Hmm.
Okay, now one of the thing, of course, you want to make sure you keep up with your watering on these plants as well. Like I tell people, I say you can come on out here, you can plant all day long, but if you don't water those plants and come back on in and tend to those plants, I guarantee you they will dry up and wither away. Because the thing about it is, these plants need love too. Okay, and that's one of the things that you have to show these plants a little bit of love. Don't just plant them and walk away and think that's going to be it. You still have to come on in, do a little bit of weeding, making sure that your garden is hey, it's doing what it's supposed to do for you. Okay. But nonetheless, guys, that is it right there. I just want to say thanks to each and every one of you all out there for coming along with us today. Talking a little bit about the tomatoes and also harvesting tomatoes today, guys. I want you all to have a wonderful day, a blessed day. And just, hey, remember, keep a smile on your face. You be happy, you be cheerful, and you also be blessed. Have a blessed day.